Now, as someone who actually doesn't dislike or hate Sword Art Online, I mean, once you've seen more than a dozen shows doing anything similar to it, you realize that the popularity of SAO really was just striking gold at the right time, because there is far better that does a lot of what SAO does, just more elegantly. But the thing is something that I've always give credit to SAO, is that there is that initial hook vibe. That it does do the initial hook better than I think even shows that long-term wise do the whole premise better. But after seeing episode 2 of Quality Assurance in Another World, this is really like an SAO story, but done like a billion times better. And I think honestly after episode 2's hook and really seeing more on the debugger side, like this is like an idea of what SAO wants to be. They even introduced the idea of clearing the game to hopefully escape. But there's just so many extra bells and whistles that makes it far more interesting. And, you know, anyone who actually thinks about games outside of just what they are at surface level, the idea of out of bounds, like endless empty space. What happens if someone was to fall down? Do they just fall forever? Do these debuggers even need to eat? And if so, you know, or if they don't need to eat, like that dude who got basically sent to the abyss of hell could be falling there for eternity. There's so many cool things about this episode, and it just is actually reminding me in probably one of the closest ways to how I first felt when watching SAO, but I feel way more confident about the direction of this show going than especially where like the second core of season 1 ended up going. Now, of course, I have full live reactions to all these episodes over on Patreon. If you want to see my full and good thought to any of these Quality Assurance episodes, it's going to be over there exclusively. So there is a lot to unpack about this episode. There was actually a moment in this episode that had me very concerned I was going to have to absolutely hate Hage's character. And that was the moment when he was talking about why he can't use the debugger mode. And he's talking about rules, like, you know, we were told not to do it, so we can't do it. And I was really going to be like, no, please don't do this, because I've really been enjoying your character. But like, the idea of wanting to do bug reports, that still makes sense to me, because what if you find a bug and that gets you released? Or, you know, what if you are being held prisoner and finding the bugs is the only way out? You can understand his motivations for continuing to do a job for a year since being trapped, even though it could be going up to literally no one. But when he started complaining about the debugger stuff, I was concerned at first. I was like, if I just have a goody two-shoes MC who can do no wrong against the people who might have trapped him, that isn't going to work. And then they saved it. And he talks about how by using the debugger mode, it's not simply about just simply like saying, hey, okay, if you use it, it's bad. No, it's like you can cause more bugs by using said mode, and in doing so could cause quite the ruckus. And I'm like, okay, saved, thank you, because I was thinking this was a 10 out of 10 style episode, even better than the first, but it had me concerned at first, and I'm sure I'm not alone where some people were about to get riled up that he was a bit too of a goody two-shoes. But his actual motivations and why he follows the rules as he does is actually really interesting. And as these two who end up jumping our ass and casually stabbing our ass, because why not, say there are, like, we now know there's other companies who are doing debugging. And the fact that there was a group that's entire purpose was, if we clear the game's story, maybe that will let us out. Now, I mean, no one can really say for sure. It could just be a fool's run, but I mean, if you're going to be trapped, I mean, what are you going to do? Are you going to be like the scumbags who, you know, just purposely hurt NPCs and stack them on a top of a tower and impale them, sleep on a bed of women? Like, it's such an interesting topic, because everyone who's played video games has done something technically immoral in the world of a video game. I mean, hell, like, you could even make an argument, is it nice to stomp on little Goombas' heads as Mario? But how many of us have played Grand Theft Auto and casually drove down the street running people over? Do we want to do that in real life? Of course not, but in a video game, it's dumb fun. But once you start, like, it starts getting more questionable once it becomes feeling like real life. And honestly, I don't know how I'd feel if VR got to the point where it truly felt like reality. I do feel like a lot of stuff I have no problems doing with a controller, looking at a TV, I probably wouldn't want to do if I was actually interacting with the world, you know? But it's an interesting subject. But I think it's not necessarily simply about what they're doing to NPCs, it's also their overall behavior just felt very toxic. But I wasn't expecting that big boy to basically fall seemingly forever. Now, he might, because here's the thing, with a lot of out-of-bounds stuff, two options. One, you can hit the pause menu and restart from checkpoint if you do get into a situation which you can't escape from. Or two, there's something in the programming that says, like, you know, if for whatever reason character model gets into this amount of zone, just warp them back somewhere. I don't think Buddy's gonna get that lucky. And by stealing his debugging tablet and basically just best of luck, bro, insane. Like, wasn't expecting that at all. And it's very fascinating because for a guy who is all about reporting the bugs, he's not reporting the biggest bug, and that is the girl. So, as he says, he's gone through this quest line with the village dozens of times. How many times has he seen them all die? And the fact that, you know, her backstory got changed, so rather than being with the village, she's now leaving with the Seeker. There could be a route that they go where, like, she does constantly die and come back, or because we've broken off and we've created... This is a bug, right? This is a branching thing that has evolved past its initial programming. Could she be causing way more bugs than simply using debugger mode? It's possible. But, I mean, I think we're all ready eventually to get our hearts broken, because say he does escape from this world, I mean, goodbye Familia NPC, like... sayonara, see you later. Or it could be a constant string of loss that you have to deal with, and she comes back. Does she even remember things? This show asks you a lot of questions and will have your mind racing about where things are gonna go. And honestly, to me, this is, if I'm being 100%, one of the most SAO feeling shows that I've seen in a hot minute, but it doesn't give me red flags. The only thing that I think could be a red flag is that if the end reason why they're trapped is just because. Like, that was legitimately the reason, because of SAO Core 1 was like, I forget my motivations, it's just because. I don't want that. I would honestly prefer if it was just a game-breaking bug that trapped them there, and our boys the entire reason they even get a chance to get out. But I completely understand why a lot of people would eventually give up on bug reports and just be a god among men in a video game if you're not going to get out anyway and you've had no contact from above. This is definitely one of the bigger surprises of the season because, I mean, this one sounded cool, quality assurance in another world, but the more I'm seeing about how they're actually making this feel like a unfinished video game, like, it's so silly, but him dragging his face across the wall to find bugs because you can't just simply look at a wall to know it's, like, sturdy, is so funny. But, like, the little details about the debugging and the bugs and just, it just feels like there was a lot of thought, and I think very similar to Shangri-La Frontier, which recently aired not too long ago. It feels like an author who actually understands games and games development, and that's why I can appreciate so many little nuances about this show. But let me know what you're feeling down below, because I definitely feel like this is what Sword Art Online wished it could be. Sure, Sword Art Online had more action, but it really did try to be a show that I felt like really wanted to make you feel like, oh, this is a video game that trapped us, but very quickly you kind of could forget it was a video game, where with here, it, like, I don't know, it gives me more of what I was looking for initially watching that show, but that's just me. Your thoughts down below. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course, ring that bell, and like I mentioned, we got those full live reactions over on Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. So today we got Real Chill, Christoph Senzwaski, JMW, Child, Sutni Chagami, and EB. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care, and y'all have a good one.